There are all kinds of mulch available in the garden center these days. People always ask me which mulch is best to use. Tom, will any mulch do?
I think so. I like them all, actually. I'm a little prejudiced on the natural mulches, like you have in your hand there, the barks, but any mulch should be able to hold in moisture, should be able to keep down the weeds. Not all of them are going to supply nutrients, however.
I use a lot of mulch in my yard. Do you?
Oh, yes. And I'm the #1 leaf gatherer. People put those bags of leaves out there in the fall. I'm out there, actually it's in the wintertime for us, I'm out there getting them like you have there. Yeah.
And I do that too, but I do move the leaves into beds. I don't want to rake them and bag them. I move the leaves. I have a lot of leaves. I move them into my beds. And then sometimes I'll cover them with a decorative mulch if I want more decorative look than leaves.
I'm smiling because I've got one request out there for the people who put the leaves out in bags. Use heavy bags. Otherwise my hand goes through the side. Now this is what the leaves look like after they've been out for, well, these have been down for about 9 months. And so they're starting to break down. This is what we want them to do.
That's right.
And I'll be able to go through and put another layer down. I use these in my vegetable garden. I use them in my flower beds, and I use them in walkways all over the place like that. And it just works out well for me.
When you're saying they break down, what happens when they break down?
Well, when they break down, you start to form soil-like particles, and then the leaves are able to release their nutrients to the plants. And so it just makes a nice soil type like area for plants to grow. Plants put a lot of roots out in these leaves, which really makes it nice. Now, you don't take the leaves and put them right into the vegetable garden soil unless you're prepared to add extra fertilizer, because the microorganisms will tie up the nutrients very quickly.
Now, what else do you have over there?
Well, I've got some bark over here, and you were holding bark
I
in
use
the
bark
beginning.
nuggets in my yard.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know there's several different sizes of bark nuggets. When you go to the average garden center, you only have one choice, and that's the big nuggets, the real big size ones. And to be honest with you, you don't get as many in the bag as if you find the mini nuggets, a little smaller ones, and then there's the real small portions also. But we like the mini nuggets, and that's what we tend to use.
I like the nuggets because they're big and they seem to last a long time.
Oh yeah, they don't break down as quickly, so you probably get more.
That looks like hay.
That is hay. I use a lot of hay, especially in the vegetable garden, where I can put it in there and it'll last about the one season, then I can till it into the ground or rake it off and put it in the compost pile. But this will last about as long as a crop. And the important thing in a vegetable garden is it keeps the plants clean also. You know, it's nothing worse than eating a bunch of spinach with sand in it. Yeah. You get grit on your teeth. So I use a lot of that.
Now, is the hay available though?
Yeah, feed stores have it. Go buy a bale of it.
Centers, some of them?
Some garden centers will have it, and feed stores, and it works out well for us. You got other things.
Well, let's talk. We talked a little bit about some organic mulches. Let's talk about some of the inorganic mulches.
Okay.
And people are seeing these things. What do you think? This is lava rock?
Lava rock. You know, I have mixed emotions. I kind of like it. It's okay. This has the color that I like. It has the mulch color, and I think that does fine. It certainly serves a purpose. It keeps the soil moist, keeps weeds down, doesn't supply nutrients, but it lasts forever.
And it stays in place.
Yeah.
Some mulches can wash.
Yeah, what I like to do on this here is I put landscape fabric underneath it so I can set a good layer of rock on top of the landscape fabric, and that'll stay. Otherwise, it's going to go down into our sands, and so it's going to take a lot more to use the mulch. Now, you have stone. Do you like stones?
I'm not particularly fond of stones, especially if you have to use equipment around them. They can pick up and throw, but you know, some places they're appropriate.
Now, one neighbor of mine did this. He did his whole front yard in stones, and what he found out is people coming by would pick them up and toss them. Yeah. And so that wasn't good. Something
tire
else?
Mulch. That's sort of new.
Yeah.
Rubber ground, rubber tires.
Yeah, and it's getting better. You know, when it first came out, it still had some little pieces of metal in it, but now it's what, 99, 44, 100% or something pure. And there are some rubber-like materials out there, polymers, that are not really from rubber tires, and so they work out well too. It's okay. University did some work with this here, and Consumer Reports also, and they found that it works as good as the other mulches and maybe keeps down weeds even better.
Now we have pine straw.
Pine straw.
Pine straw.
I love pine straw.
I like it on walkways and paths, and if you have a pine tree in your yard, it's another free mulch source.
That's right, and people will pile that up, and you can go pick that up. I'll tell you, in our house yard, we have a little debate. I like the pine straw. My wife, Joni, likes the pine bark, so we use the pine bark.
Sometimes you can use them mixed as well. And we didn't get a chance to talk about some of the different dyed mulches, but we're out of time.
That happens.
Mulch is a great product and good to use, always good to use. Thanks, Tom, for all your advice on mulch. I like to use the leaves as mulch in my yard. I'll do anything to avoid pulling weeds.